MGTOW Thunder made a generous donation on Patreon and wanted me to talk about the growth of MGTOW. MGTOW is undoubtedly growing. You can look at the subscriber numbers for the MGTOW subreddit, for this channel, which has exceeded 26,000, for every other MGTOW channel, and you can look at the rate at which men are searching Google for MGTOW. This growth is happening because every path in modern society leads to MGTOW. If you're a male feminist, the hatred that you get from the women you're trying to simp for will continue until you decide to start thinking for yourself, which will eventually lead you to finding MGTOW. If you're a trad cuck, the women you're trying to start families with will continue to enjoy themselves on the cock carousel, ruining their bodies with drugs and alcohol. And by the time they're ready to settle down with a nice beta provider, their bodies and ability to pair bond are destroyed. When you start asking questions and try to make sense of the society you find yourself in, your questions will lead you to MGTOW. If you're an incel who just can't attract a woman, the self-hatred will eventually boil over and you'll hate everything and everyone. And a few feminist roasting videos later, you'll stumble upon MGTOW and find an opportunity to love yourself and live for yourself, free of female validation and the need for it. Every demographic of man is under attack in today's society, and the only remaining bastion of masculinity is MGTOW. It's the only place men can vent, exchange knowledge and experiences, and work together for the betterment of themselves and their friends. We may never meet in real life, but I enjoy talking to everyone in the community more so than anyone in person. The community acts as a beacon for men who are disenfranchised on all sides of the spectrum. There is no other place that this exists, and this is the greatest strength of MGTOW. This growth creates many challenges, however, and it brings forth the question of whether MGTOW is a new philosophy. I've shown in some videos the history of men from older civilizations who incorporated many of the principles of MGTOW into their lives, and that's because the basic ideas of MGTOW, sovereignty over oneself and absolute freedom, are timeless lessons that men have always struggled with. In that sense, MGTOW is timeless. But in another sense, MGTOW has been artificially grown through social engineering, decadence, and decay. Many men in the community would not be MGTOW if the state of society was not so bad, and it's important to acknowledge that. I don't shame any man who considers himself reluctantly MGTOW, but I do hold him at an arm's length because these men are often in the same group of men who are using the MGTOW community as a crutch. It is natural for a man to want to have a family, and if the times change and that man willingly goes back onto the plantation, so be it. I just hope that he takes the lessons that he has learned with him. The other type of man, and there has been an incredible influx of them due to the growth of MGTOW, will consciously throw away all of the wisdom he claimed to have obtained from MGTOW and run back to the plantation with a smile on his face and his eyes closed. All groups of men do this. The trad cucks do it with the women who say what they want to hear. A woman can put on a casual business outfit and say traditional talking points, and all of a sudden that man just throws everything he's heard from MGTOW out the window and goes right back to simping. An incel falls apart if a woman looks in his direction. A male feminist goes back to chugging soy as soon as a feminist talks about egalitarianism. These men, who are so quick to abandon what they claim to have understood, and more importantly, throw their fellow men under the bus at a moment's notice and on the whim of a woman, are not a benefit to the growth of MGTOW. That's why I don't concern myself too much with the numbers of MGTOW, because when push comes to shove, that number varies drastically. I don't play that true MGTOW game because it's stupid and it defeats the purpose of MGTOW. MGTOW is about making your own decisions based on a personal cost-benefit analysis. Every man would naturally have his own unique path, and to judge another man's path and deem him unworthy is a failure on your part to understand the philosophy. The only thing I look for is that a man has incorporated the philosophy into his life, that he lives the philosophy, and is not stuck on the talking points or catchphrases. MGTOW is the best philosophy because it requires that the man practice it, not preach it. Every decision he makes has MGTOW associated with it because every instance requires an analysis and a judgment on how it impacts your sovereignty, and it requires you to know yourself fully, an ultimate introspection. The next negative of the growth of MGTOW are the men who come from failed philosophies and ideologies and seek to change MGTOW into what they came from, to recruit the concentration of men to their own cause. MGTOW is not a movement, and the amount of men who don't understand that will surprise you. Eventually, when you have found your path and you are working on self-actualization every day, you will begin to ask questions as to how you can change things. That's fine and that's normal, But that isn't a requirement of MGTOW. MGTOW starts and ends with yourself. Anything outside of that is your personal path. MGTOW is simultaneously the easiest and hardest concept for some men to grasp. Some men have literally never been encouraged to think for themselves, to put themselves first. They were taught to always work towards the greater good for someone else, even if that meant destroying themselves in the process. No matter how much MGTOW grows, there will always be more men like that. Sacrificial cattle led to the slaughterhouse, because it is in man's nature to sacrifice himself. The important point I would like to emphasize about the growth of MGTOW is that it is eternal. Censorship will come for us too, and limit our growth, but men don't need MGTOW videos to find the basics themselves in their own lives. In countries with heavy censorship, like China, you still have plenty of men going their own way. The most important benefit of having the community is to interact with other men and understand that you're not crazy for thinking about these things. And with that interaction, you can learn and discover what you didn't know before. But those important building blocks of MGTOW can never be erased because you can't stop some men for thinking for themselves. MGTOW always wins. No matter who tries to stop us or what gets in our way, society can't do anything about a man ghosting in plain sight except force him to get married and have children, at which point it's time to leave that society and watch the fireworks from a safe distance. Instead of focusing on the growth of MGTOW, look at the quality of MGTOW. Compared to what it started as earlier in the decade, MGTOW is in the best position it's ever been in. The men who fail to see this potential have failed to self-actualize in their own lives, because if you understood your potential as an individual free man, you would understand what power lies in the ideas of MGTOW. Regardless, I would like to welcome all the new guys to MGTOW, and I encourage you to do your own research and go through the libraries of information that is available to you. You found the path, now it's up to you to walk it.
Join Hermit's Discord. We give away free video games, we have movie nights, we have memes and anime babes, and you can make topic requests. Hermit also remade his Patreon if you would like to support the channel and help increase the frequency of the quality content. And finally, if you would like to experience the future, head over to the Dollhouse. You can use the affiliate code in the description. The Dollhouse has something for every man. You can even get a replica of me, Hermit's waifu. See you on the next video.